Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to work on shooting from outside of the box. I'm going to share some common mistakes I see a lot of players making with their technique, as well as share plenty of advice to help you get the cleanest possible strike to give yourself the best chance of scoring. So let's get into it. The first step of any striking technique is our approach to the ball, or our run-up. This is the energy we put behind the ball beforehand, and generating that momentum is so important to help the final power of the strike. And a couple of mistakes I see players make with their approach to the ball is usually the distance they push the ball out in front of them. So what I see a lot of players do, they get the ball and they push the ball out, but it's right underneath their feet. And it's very difficult when the ball is close to you to generate any power. Try this out for yourself, don't just take my word for it. Push the ball slightly out in front of you, and then just try and generate power. Very difficult. That's going to be a very easy save for the goalkeeper. It's just going to float into their hands. So we need to push the ball slightly further out in front of us. So make sure it's slightly at an angle and about 2 to 3 strides away from you. It's really important to generate longer, wider strides if we want to generate the most power. What I see a lot of players do, they get really tense in this situation, thinking they have to really contract their entire body to generate power. So they push the ball and they make these stutter steps into the ball. So instead of these stuttery steps, try to take 2 to 3 wide strides. Those really powerful long strides is going to generate all the momentum you need to get a clean and powerful strike behind the ball. So we're going to push the ball out in front of us at an angle, 2 to 3 wide strides, 1, 2, and then we can get a clean strike towards the goal. So we've covered our approach to the ball, pushing it out at an angle, 2 to 3 strides into the ball. That's going to help us generate some momentum. Now it's time to plant our non-kicking foot. So what's really important with our planting leg is to make sure it's really strong and stable beside the ball. This is essentially your foundation of the entire technique. If this is weak, your entire technique is going to be compromised and you're going to lose so much power. So as we plant beside the ball, slight bend in the knee, really contract that leg so it's nice and firm into the ground. What's also really important is making sure your foot is directly beside the ball as you make contact with your kicking foot. And this part of the technique especially is going to take some practice to master that timing. I often get messages from players letting me know that they're really good at striking free kicks with a stationary ball where it's not moving, but when it comes to a moving ball, they don't get the same results. And typically it's because of your planting foot. When the ball's stationary, it's really easy to place your foot beside the ball because it's not moving. There's no timing needed. You know exactly where the ball is, so you can place your foot directly beside it. But when it comes to a moving ball, if you notice here, if I plant directly beside the ball immediately, and then that ball continues to roll, as you can see, by the time I strike the ball, it's now out in front of me, which is going to put me off balance. I'm probably going to get underneath it and send it over the crossbar. So we need to work on the timing so that as we plant, we're slightly ahead of the ball. Then by the time we've swung through, the ball is met the middle of our ankle. Also with our planting foot, it's really important to point it directly at our target. So your toe should be pointing directly at the goal. Your planting foot is almost like your steering wheel. It's all well and good accelerating as hard as possible, putting all this force behind the strike, but if you're not steering in the right direction, you're not going to get to where you want to. At first, the most important thing is just getting the ball on frame. If the ball's on target, it always has a chance of going in the back of the net. But as you gain confidence with this technique, you can even start to be even more accurate by planting your foot slightly more towards the corners, and that's going to help the ball travel into those corners. So just to show you how important it is to point your toes exactly where you want the ball to go, if I was to point them directly down the middle of the goal, as you'll see, the ball goes directly down the middle of the goal. But if we want to put the ball slightly more in the corner, and this is what you'll get to when you get more confident with this technique, start to point your toes towards either side. So you might have to open up your foot slightly a little bit so that your big toe is going towards that left side. So push the ball out, open up the foot, and put the ball slightly more into the corner. So we've approached the ball, we've planted our foot beside the ball, pointing our toes directly at our target with our planting foot. Now it's time to generate power, and that all comes from your backswing. Your backswing is how far back you reach your leg to then swing through the ball. And the greater this distance is between the swing and the strike, the more momentum you're going to generate. If we just have a short backswing, it's going to be more like a chip pass or a long pass. You're not going to generate any power. You might get the accuracy, but it's probably not going to trouble the goalkeeper. So let's look at the difference between a short backswing and a larger backswing. So short backswing, you can do this yourself. You don't even need to run up onto the ball. If you really want to work on that backswing technique, just plant your foot beside the ball towards the target. Now let's look at a short backswing. So short backswing, really hard to generate any power whatsoever. I'm almost stabbing at the ball. But if I swing my leg as far back as it can go, even on a planted foot with no momentum, you'll see I can generate more momentum. The first strike, I couldn't even reach the net. With a bigger backswing, I can cover more distance. Think of it almost like a bow and arrow. The further you draw that bow back, the further and faster the arrow is going to go. So this is like your bow. You draw it back so that it can snap forward and generate power through the strike. Another really important point is as we are standing on one leg and our leg is flexed back, this is quite an awkward position to be able to balance on. So what's really important is that you raise your opposite arm to your kicking leg to help with your stabilization of your planting foot. As we said before, the more stable this planting leg is, the cleaner your technique's going to be and the cleaner your strike's going to be. So we plant beside the ball, draw our leg back, and then raise our opposite arm for balance, leaning slightly over the ball with a really tight core, and that's going to help you with your stability. So now let's talk about contact areas, the area of the foot we want to strike with and the area of the ball we want to strike. In terms of area of the foot we want to strike the ball with, our contact area should be right around here. This is called your instep, right between the middle of your foot and your laces. You can feel here with your hand, it's a very dense part of the foot. The bones are really solid, and that's going to give you a really clean impact on the ball. So it's right around here. Play around and find which area is your sweet spot, but you'll typically find it's right around this area between the laces and the inside of the foot. And the area of the ball we want to strike is right through that middle. As we said before, if we get our planting foot correctly, our foot should be flush against that ball so that the surface area we're striking with is pointed directly at our target. So we want to get right through the center of that ball with the instep. This is going to give you the cleanest strike. So make sure you point your toes down and out and really lock that ankle. Flex the muscles around the ankle so that if someone was to try and move your foot, they would have a hard time doing so. Think of it almost like a tennis racket. If you were to hit a tennis ball really hard, but the strings were really loose, even if you hit the ball hard, the power of the ball is going to be lost because of how loose those strings are. So if you hit the ball with a loose ankle, it's the same effect. You're going to lose so much power. So make sure you really lock that ankle, flex those muscles so that when you make contact with the ball, it's a strong, hard surface, so the ball just propels off of your foot. A key tip for getting the cleanest possible strike on the ball is to fixate on the exact part of the ball you want to hit. So if you look at the best ball strikers in the world and you slow down a video of them hitting the ball and pause the video just after the ball's left their foot, it looks like this. They strike the ball's left their foot, and they're still looking down at where the ball once was because they were so fixated on the exact part of the ball they want to hit. I see a lot of players, they make the mistake of striking the ball and looking up almost at the exact same time. And that split second you take your eye off the ball could be the difference between hitting the ball cleanly and not. So make sure you stay fixated on the exact part of the ball you want to hit throughout the entire technique. So try this out for yourself. Get the ball out of your feet, stay locked in on the center. Don't even look where the ball's gone. And then if you're disciplined with your technique, you're gonna get the exact results you're looking for. And the final step is your follow through. And this is an area of technique I see a lot of players overlook because they're focused so much on all the steps before the strike, right up until the point they hit the ball, that they completely disregard their follow through. And this is such an important part of the technique to keep that accuracy and power. We've worked so hard with all the previous steps to generate the cleanest strike possible. And if we don't take care of our follow through, we can put that all to waste. So after we've struck the ball, our foot is swinging in the direction we want the ball to go. Chest is over the ball. You completely leave that planting foot hop in the air and land back on your kicking foot. So after we've struck the ball, you can either stay on your planting foot like that, or if you're finding it hard to stay balanced, you can leave your planting leg and land back on your kicking foot. So there we have it, plenty of tips to help you score more goals from outside the box. And of course, the final tip is to get those repetitions in. The more you repeat this action, it's just going to become second nature, so that when it comes to a match, it's almost automatic. Everything's going to piece together nicely, and you're going to get that clean shot off and give yourself the best chance of scoring. But if you enjoyed today's video and got some value from it, please make sure you smash the like button, hit that subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.